that, for 5-6 years, I prepared for UPSC and an exam called Central Armed Police Force. Literally, I broke down. I broke down in front of him. I started crying like for 5 years, continuous failures. Every year, used to fail.
So I started hunting like off-campus jobs. It was from Wipro, TCS. Working as a data engineer for like 7 to 8 months, I took a transition to data science.
Important part to be a data scientist is to use these things in a machine learning format. Understanding coding part was in itself was pretty difficult.
I was like, no, this is not my cup of tea. Coding I cannot do.
ChatGPT is not going to take away our jobs, but the people who know how to use ChatGPT is going to take away our jobs.
So last week I traveled to Bangalore, the second home for all the techies, and there I met 2 data scientists and their story literally inspired me a lot. So I thought let's leverage this opportunity and record a podcast with them. So first of all, one of our guests had a really tough background and he had no relationship with the tech or CS at all, and literally he was preparing for the UPSC and civil services. He devoted almost 6 to 7 years in these type of preparations and government exams, but every step was a new failure for him and unfortunately he could not make into it. He thought this is the end for him, and now you will be shocked to know that he is working as a data scientist with MPL. And our second guest completed his graduation from a tier 3 college and got placed in a service-based company like Wipro, and now he has also cracked a really good product-based company with a really good package as well and working as a data scientist. So stay there for next 30 minutes and watch it till the very end. So first of all, welcome and thanks for joining us in this podcast. So Divyanshu, Kiran, it would be great if you can introduce yourself one by one.
Hey, hi Shashank. Thanks for having me on your podcast first. I'm from Boisar, it's in Maharashtra, and I have graduated from Delhi's Tirthankar Mahavir University. From there, I got the placements in Wipro and few more companies, and then again upskilled myself and then took a transition to data scientist area. So this is a short journey for me.
Awesome. What about you, Kiran?
Hi Shashank, I'm Kiran. I'm from Kerala, so I studied in a tier 3 college in Kerala called 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 College, and after graduated in 2016. After that, for 5-6 years, I prepared for UPSC and an exam called Central Armed Police Force. Did not work out, then upskilled or skilled myself to get a job. So currently I'm working as a junior data scientist trainee at MPL.
Especially about you, Kiran, basically I have done lots of podcasts with data engineers, data scientists, data analysts. Like I have covered stories, people moving from the software background to data science and testing background, non-CS background, non-tech. Like you are someone whom I'm meeting for the first time who were into the civil services preparation, unfortunately couldn't clear. How did you deal with these kind of repeated failures when you were trying to crack the civil services and these government exams, and what actually motivated you to pursue your career in data science?
Actually, after 2016, I got an offer from a company which I rejected and went to this civil service background. So I wanted to do that actually, and it was not a smooth ride for 5 years, continuous failures. Every year used to fail. So the major issue was collecting myself mentally, being prepared to fail again or maybe succeed in the future was the major task. And after getting very close to one exam and then failing again was like the peak of it. So after that 6-year-long journey of failures, I was like, I wanted to try something else. So I took a break for around 4-5 months to recollect myself. And after that, I thought of, okay, I have to study something which is going to land me a job. So I tried exploring different sort of career options. To be honest, like I planned to go to Canada. In one point, I wanted to migrate to Canada, but then the major issue was whatever courses I was planning to take to go to Canada or like in India itself, most of the career options were not that intellectually challenging for me. So the major concern was, if it is not intellectually that much challenging for me, how would I be able to push myself to a job that is going to satisfy my needs? So that was the major concern. And at that point, one of my friends chipped in and he gave me an idea about there is something called as data science and things that are booming right now. So why not give it a shot? And that was not completely coding based as well, completely coding based. So I was like, okay, fine. So this is enough challenge for me to study business and coding at the same go. So I thought, yeah, why not? So he gave me that platform to stay with him and give it a shot. And that's how I thought, okay, this is going to be fixed. Data science is the thing. So then it was all about studying what is required to get a job.
Awesome. And thanks to your friend, like who actually helped you and showed you the right direction. So just a quick follow-up question. Do you still think about those civil services exams? Are you still passionate about it? Or are you completely happy with your current job?
No, I have gone past it. Like if it's something that you have moved past it, it should be like that way. And I have started dreaming about being a very good data scientist in a good company, having a very good career. So whatever has happened, and I strongly feel it is for the good that I didn't get through. So that's done. That's in the past.
Cool. I think such a golden advice for everyone who is watching this podcast. So now Divyanshu, your turn. So after college, like when you graduated, how did you get your first job? Where did you start? And how everything was going for you at that time?
Yeah, so like I graduated from a tier 3 college. From there, like we never had a placement support or something, right? We have to be of our own, whatever it takes. So I started hunting like off-campus jobs. It was from Wipro, TCS and Cognizant and all those MNCs, also some startups. So just right after my college, I got placed in 4 to 5 companies. From off-campus, I had offer from 2 MNCs, that is Wipro and Cognizant. And like it was a gap from the college to the date of joining. I had a 3 to 4 months of gap. Like I was sitting at the home, so I have to do something. I took an internship at PrepInsta, where I used to write the Python codes. I used to create web pages for the persons who are willing to crack those interviews, coding rounds of people for those MNCs, right? So I worked as an intern there, and then took the switch from intern. As I got the joining dates, I got my first complete FTE role in Wipro and started my journey as an data engineer over there. And then like I just working as a data engineer for like 7 to 8 months, I took a transition to data science over there. So I had a good people who guided me on that direction. So it went very well.
I've been receiving queries from freshers that we don't get data engineering opportunities at all. And the surprising part, you got it in Wipro itself, like which is a service-based firm, and mostly people get a very random job profiles, system engineer and these kind of profiles. So now I want to ask another question, Divyanshu. So in the Wipro itself, how you got to know about the data science and how did you transition like from the data engineering role to data science? Because I'm a data engineer, I know how challenging that profile itself. So did you feel something about data engineering which will not work out for you, or you like completely find something really interesting in data science?
Yeah, so like the whole data was started in college. We got the subject as SQL we used to learn. So I was a bit good in that. Then I also took up my hands on coding at HackerRank, Python and all these things. So I was good in Python plus I was good in SQL. So the job, when I got my job in Wipro, they asked actually me to learn Java first. I was like completely shattered. I don't want to do this. I want to be in a Python kind of role. I want to work with fear of Java. It's a huge language, like a giant in front of me. So anyway, I passed out that phase, and then I landed my first job under my first manager. It turned out to be good. It was a data engineering job. It was a completely on luck, I would say. So, and why I took the transition from data engineer to data science is because I think I was a bit good in maths. So it keeps me happy if I do some mathematical kind of thing, where if we see like algorithms and data science or machine learning, we have to go and look at the things like how it is working, what algorithm will fit in for a specific kind of data and all these things, right? So it made me happy, like I can build something really very good which can reduce human efforts and kind of things. So this is the thing I have to take.
Kiran, now coming on you. So you being from that kind of background which no one can expect, I mean, very rare people can expect. So, can you share a like crisp roadmap which you even followed to become a data science? Also, like if you can share something about the resources which helped you, that would be also very helpful for the audience.
Yeah, the roadmap is pretty simple. To be very honest, you just have to work. But the hardest part is you just have to be present. Like you cannot afford to, at this time with all this sort of failures, you cannot afford to lose yourself in the process. So my priority was to get to a get to a resource that is actually giving me a lot of input, something related to the industry, because I cannot take a chance from my position. I cannot take a chance with a lot of experiences. So I was like, I want it to be very crisp, precise, and I want a place where that is giving me a lot of crisp information. So I started exploring a lot in all over India. I started exploring a lot of colleges, a lot of institutes, and finally I landed at Scalar. And from there on, whatever they were giving me, I was like completely focused on studying that. And the most difficult part for me was everything. I would say everything from scratch was difficult, because I started coding. My first line of code I started with Scalar. Like in Python usually people start with hello world. So I started writing hello world through Python only, through Scalar only. So from that, Python, SQL, and like Divyanshu mentioned, mathematics was one big thing in data science. So I was like, I don't know if I'm good at mathematics or not. I have done mathematics in school and in college, but then yeah, we all do that. But then to be able to crack a job and to be good at it, you really have to study. So everything was given to me by Scalar. So I just took up the opportunity and I studied hard. Just go for it. Just study hard. Whatever is being given to you, just dig deep, study hard.
Okay, so like if you want to summarize or list down, because people are interested into, okay, what are the bullet points they need to focus in terms of the tech stack or skills. So if we can list down in the summarized form, that would be also good.
I would say Python is the most important thing, because without Python you won't be able to build on a lot of things. The base would be Python and SQL, because SQL gives you that leverage to take up the data, and Python gives you the leverage to build on that data. And after that, pandas, NumPy, those things will come later. And the most important part to be a data scientist is to use these things in a machine learning format. So in a mathematical algorithm that you have to do very precisely to get the output, because you can still get an output. You can put all these things in the mix and still get an output that might be around 20 to 30% efficiency, which is not going to fetch you any good thing in the company. So you have to understand maths also. So my order of priority would be Python, SQL, maths, NumPy, pandas, and machine learning. So with all these things only you can do the machine learning part. So after that, whatever comes, you will be able to pick it up with these sort of skill sets.
I remember one of questions from the audience. And since you both took the name of mathematics part, and I think you both have received the queries, are we supposed to be a pro mathematician, like to start our journey in the data scientist, because math is not everyone's cup of tea? So what's your take on that? Because you also started as a fresher, and for you it's completely noob level thing. So what's your take on that?
I think Divyanshu should answer first, because he likes mathematics.
So yeah, even if you like mathematics, or even if you don't like, there is a relation of maths is like very linear, I would say, with data science. Even the basic algorithm and machine learning starts with the linear concepts of maths. So yes, maths is important, but not at that higher level. Like trigonometry, okay, that's okay. If you don't know, that's good, that works. But you should know how, even if you talk about some basic graphs, right, some scatter plot, that is coming out from the concepts of maths. So you should know like how your data is, because for machine, it's all in bits and bits. If you visualize it, it's all data across X and Y axis if it's 2D and multiple dimension and so on. So maths is really important to become a good data scientist. Although you can be a data scientist, you can throw something to machine and you can fetch the output, as he mentioned, right? But that's okay. Like even the coin flip will give you 50% accuracy, right? But that's not a very good thing.
Kiran, so if someone is completely new, so this is something which can be learned along with the process, or do you think someone has to have some basic knowledge of mathematics?
See, I will tell you one interesting fact about me learning mathematics is, I was not very bad at math. The thing is, I used to, in school and college, I was like above average with maths, because most of the people are above average with math. I've seen people who are very bad at math, but then they don't usually go that path. So I was like above average, that is okay. So one fascinating fact about learning maths for this data science was, in school we used to learn differentiation, integration, mathematics, trigonometry and all, but then we never thought how we are going to use this in real life. So without the real life scenarios, you are not going to find anything interesting. For that matter, you learn about human body, you know that is in our body, so it is interesting. But then maths is not like that. So one fascinating fact was, when I was taught math by Scalar, the most fascinating part was, okay, this is how we are using mathematics. Oh, for these purpose we are learning differentiation, and that instantly created a spark in me. I was not very good at math, but then that interest was the major driving factor for me to learn math. So practical implementation will give us a lot of interest in math. So I think most of the people will feel the exact same thing, or else you will have to be good at math.
So one more follow-up question for you, Kiran, since you are coming from this kind of pure non-tech background. So can you name few skill set or maybe one or two which gave you a really tough time when you started acquiring these skill sets, whatever you listed down, like to become a good data scientist?
The skill set would be, for me, understanding coding part was in itself was pretty difficult, but then the fact that you have to do it on a daily basis, there is no other option to grasp onto things, because it is going to be difficult. Studying things for the first time, it is going to be very difficult, but then you will have to create an environment where people, the institute, all the surroundings are actually pushing you to do this on a daily basis, so that you get used to it. Because when you get to a company, they are not going to give you a lot of space where you can experiment. They expect you to do work. So that hard part, you have to do it alone, with the help of an institute, with the help of whatever, a college or academy or whatever it is. For me, it was Scalar. Like, they gave me that continuous support, is assignments after assignments, homeworks after homeworks, and classes after classes. So I was pretty happy that, okay, something is motivating me to do this on a daily basis. So I would say Python was pretty difficult for me. SQL was fairly easy for me, because SQL is more intriguing for me. But then Python was pretty difficult, because Python is the base. Whatever you build upon Python was pretty difficult for me.
And for Divyanshu, it was like
Python. No, okay. It was never like Python is easy, because till my third year I never went for coding. I was like, no, this is not my cup of tea. Coding I cannot do. But then something kicked in after third year, and then I thought of giving it a shot, and then I went to HackerRank, the most loved platform for every coder. So from there I started problem solving and all these things. So yeah, then I took it.
So Divyanshu, I would like to ask this question, because you like started your career in data just after the graduation. So how difficult is it for a fresher to like get a full-time job offer, be it the data engineering, data science or data analyst? Because I have seen it and I have received these complaints, maybe because when I put a video on my YouTube channel, people start commenting that there are not jobs for the freshers, or companies are preferring the experienced candidates. So what's your take on that, whether it is difficult or whatever they are saying, is it true? And also, like, if since you transition from data engineer to data scientist, now as a fresher, if someone want to move into directly data science, what should be their strategies starting from their college time itself?
So if we talk about service-based companies, right, it's completely based on luck. So it is hard to get a job as a fresher in data area, because like people expect you to be experienced. Why experience is required? Because whenever a problem is given to you, you should know how to solve it, right? And if you're a good problem solver, then that's it. I guess like that's what required to crack a job, or specifically in a data area. For an fresher, right, what happens is they have a lot of knowledge from college, but they are on their lucks. Like if they got an offer from service-based companies, they will be like, a lot of people would be there, and the company would be picking up you for your job roles. You cannot choose your job role by your own. So it is based on luck. But if you start from a startup, a good startup, or even if a bad startup, right, then you have your choices. If you go out and search for jobs from a startup specifically based on data, then yes, it is a possible way that you will get a job, but you have to learn before that. You should know basics of Python and all these things, basics of SQL and all these things, so that you could get a job in a startup and start working in a data area. So it is hard because other way you are trying the off campus. So it is hard, but yeah, it's not always that hard. You can get it. It's not that tough.
Okay, it is all about like how smartly you are targeting companies and able to find it, and also how you are leveraging those job hunting platforms like LinkedIn and other things?
Yeah, job hunting platforms like you suggested, like Kaggle is the most important thing that you should have in your resume. I think, like, because being a fresher, you don't know what type of data you're dealing with, right? What problems you will get. And in Kaggle, we see a lot of problem statements coming in. We can solve them. Even like from where I upskilled Scalar, they used to give us like so many case studies based on different domains. So we could like learn domain knowledge, plus we can also experience some new things like how logics are being built, or how we can take it to different level. All these things are really very important. Either you go for some platforms, or you can upskill later even from some good institutes like I did from Scalar.
Again, just a quick follow-up question, and you can give a short answer for it, since you worked both type of companies, service-based, and now you're working in like Merck which is a basically product-based firm. So do you see any difference? Obviously there are differences, but according to you, what you observed working in both type of companies?
Yeah, so first is like completely on work life. In service based, if you are given a statement or a problem, it is coming from a client, and clients are like gods for service based company. If client is saying something, you have to do it. Even if you're logging off, you have to log in again and you have to work on it. But it is different in product based. Now you are on your own, right? You are the client, you are the owner of the product. So anyway, you have to work for that. You get a good time, or you get a good work-life balance to solve the problems. You have like, you don't have to do it like the problem is thrown to you today, you have to solve it by tonight. That's not the case here. You can solve it, you can take your time, you can solve it, and you can implement it. That's the best part about, like, the best difference between the product-based and service-based. But the salaries are, we cannot talk about that. It's like here to here. There is a huge difference.
So now, Kiran, if we go back to your past, because your journey is truly inspirational. So you faced multiple rejections, right? You went through that bad phase of life. Was there any moment where you felt that type of mental breakdown? If yes, then how did you actually deal with it? Because we as an audience always try to see the rosy picture, but what someone has gone through it and what kind of hustle someone has did, and especially how they dealt with it, that is also very important to know. So how was it that for you?
So my journey was like, it was pretty difficult. It was not like what you said, rosy. No, it was not like that. It was pretty difficult. So the first difficult part was to fix institute where I want to study. So I went with Scalar, and after that, the first 2-3 classes, the coding started, and I was completely lost. I felt I'm not going to crack this. This is no way not happening. But then I still have to believe in myself. So I took up the number of the instructor. I called him up. I talked to him about I'm feeling such difficulty. So he was like, it is going to be like this only. You haven't coded in your life, so it is going to take some time. But then it was kind of very difficult to completely trust in him because of the kind of failures that I had to go through. And then came the most interesting and my most life-changing, the second most life-changing aspect in my life, apart from Scalar. That was the Scalar mentorship program. So that has to be mentioned because that is the thing that changed my life. Because the first mentor session, so a person called Dinesh, so he came up and he started to ask me, okay Kiran, give me an introduction about yourself. So I told about my story, and he was like, are you feeling comfortable and all? And I started crying. Literally, I broke down in front of him. I started crying like crazy. So he gave me all the space to sit and cry, because usually a mentor session would be around 1 hour. So for 45 minutes, I was like crying, not getting breath, and I was whatnot. So I was like all childish there. So he told me it is okay. So he gave me like that confidence. Like he told me his story. So he had a very inspiring story as well. So he told me his story, how he started coding up, and he was also coming from a similar background, not a civil service background, but then he started coding after college only. So that gave me a lot of motivation. So every 3 months, I used to tell people that every 3 months I used to call him up and cry. Every 3 months. So when Python came, I was down. When SQL came, I was down. When NumPy Pandas came, I was down. So every junction, I was lost. So every junction I used to get help from Scalar. Even during the machine learning part, I used to call instructors called Gyan. So I used to call him up, and in late night, in 12 or 1:30, if I am stuck somewhere and I feel like I can't do this project, so I used to call him up. I used to message him in Slack, and he used to ask me for my number, and he used to call me, and he said, it is okay, you are going to face these kind of difficulties. You think about where you started from. So I have started from a very, very bad background. So now I am here, halfway down the line. So it is only fair enough that I can only push ahead myself, right? So that was kind of it is a very emotional kind of feeling, that thinking back, crying a lot to a mentor. So he was also my same age only. With 8 years of experience, he was in the same age, but then I'm crying in front of him. So it was kind of, you have to be shameless to study. You have to be shameless to study, ask people out. You cannot build it on your own. You need a community. So for me, that community was Scalar, and all the people was provided to me by Scalar.
So Divyanshu, now up to you. So you did your transition from a service-based company, Wipro, to Merck, which is a product-based company. So how did that transition actually happen for you?
So for me, what happened is I wanted to become a doctor first.
Doctor?
Yeah. But obviously I cannot study that much, so I took a simple profession, that was engineering. And again, after third year, right, it came in like, no, I'm not doing the good thing. I should be back into that area. So what I thought is, if I go and work in labs, which really work on this fascinating things like building humans, robots and all those things, right, or playing with human body cells or chemicals and all these things, would give me a chance to work in that space again. So, and I came across two companies. I got an offer from two companies. That is, one is Dassault Systems and one was Merck Life Sciences. So even the offers were same and everything was same. Both were product-based companies. Both were good. That life science after that Merck, right? It was like, for me, no, I am going to the space that I wanted to be, and like cracking the interviews are one thing, and then going to your favorite company or favorite domain is one thing. How going from service to product is like, you have to study. You have to learn. In service space, like, you will have people around you. You can ask them what to do, what not to do. You will have a team of people working for same kind of project, right? But in product based, you do not have those things. You have to show your ownership. You have to own a product and work on it. In that, you cannot go and ask people like, hey, how can I write this code? How can I work on these things, right? So before making that switch, you should learn the basics, like what all things are required to become a good data scientist, or let's not talk about data scientist. Let's talk about any profession, right? You have to be good in that. If you're good in solving the problem, taking up things, solving it, doing it, and showing up that ownership towards anything, right? That will really help you in taking a transition from service-based to product-based companies.
Now coming back to another important question that will basically combine like both of your experiences. There are majority of folks who are really interested to kickstart their journey. So as per your experiences, what kind of advice you will like to give them, that if they are starting, so in the beginning or basically the initial phase of their preparation, what should be their focus areas in terms of the tech and the skill sets?
So I would suggest like they should start with problem solving, specifically with problem solving. They can go to CodeChef and all.
So hardcore problem solving is literally needed, like the way it is for software engineering?
No, but see, there are two types of problem solving. One is hardcore, as you mentioned, and one is like, you should know how to solve it. Everyone is a problem solver. From the day they're born, they know like, if I am hungry, I will cry. That's my problem. It's going to solve if I cry. They will give me food, right? So you are solving the problem from the day one. But the thing is, now you have to convert things. You have to change things. You have to shift the gears while doing anything, right? So you should know at least like, if something is coming to me, how can I solve it? That is the most basic thing you should know. Then problem solving is one. Then you should know one language, at least one language that you could take and write the codes or solve that problem in machines, right? In bits and all these things. So that is second thing. The third is the algorithms, how it is working. You should keep track on the like new technologies that's coming in today. You can get your problem solved a lot easier than it could be done before, right? So you should be up to date with the technological things. Then you should be very much clear on your basis, on your foundations.
What about you?
I would say like for people like me, I would say it is very difficult to find a direction, because for me it was like learning coding without a direction was very difficult, because Divyanshu said code chef or hacker rank, so getting into that and trying to figure out things on your own was not my cup of tea, because it was not working for me, because I felt like I am in a no man's land. What would lead me to a job? So I had what is required in this industry. So for me I would say the most important thing is fix a resource. Try experimenting, read the curriculum or whatever it is, whatever the colleges or institutes are offering, read that and then Google that and just see if that is relevant in this industry. So fix an institute, because that is going to be the major step, because if you don't feel that you are in the direction, fixing an institute will definitely give you a direction. After that, it is just do what they are asking you to do for next few months. So that will get you onboarded into this industry. After that, slowly you will start picking it up. Okay, this is what is the industry requires. So this is what this institute is giving me. Why is this institute giving me these kind of things? So for me, the first step was fixing the institute. So I did a lot of research on that area. After that, it is the trusting process. You have to trust the institute. You have to trust your instincts. You have to believe in your abilities. For me, it was the major important role is to get the direction. So however it is, go for the direction. Whoever is giving you, maybe a person, maybe an institute, maybe a channel, go for it.
Yeah, the same for me actually happened. Like when I was in Wipro, so I had good people around me. Like one was 15 years of experience, one was having 20 years of experience. And when we talk about upskilling, right, like continuously being in touch of new technologies. So I just wanted to like upskill myself. I do not know how those algorithms are working now. So I asked them, hey, how can I get these skills in me? How can I learn all these things? So there were two paths. Either I can go and look at all the open sources that are available, or I can choose one very structured way to learn everything. So I had few curriculums on with me, multiple places I went through, and I just looked at their curriculum, what they're going to teach me, what I will be if I will be with them. I showed it to the people who are really very experienced in those areas, and they shortlisted one course that I am currently in, and also got upskilled in there, like that Scalers one, because they're covering everything in it, like from mathematics to Python basics, SQL, continuous. They're having this case studies kind of things. So it really helps for everyone.
So your seniors basically reviewed that curriculum for you and suggested, yeah, this works best.
Yeah. So, and their experience is like 15, 20 years. So, and if they are shortlisting it, then I have to take it.
One thing that I would add here is the one major good thing about a scaler that I would say, like I personally felt like in the last few weeks is when I went to the job, I was asked to do some work in PySpark, which I was not able to do because I didn't know PySpark. But then understanding or grasping PySpark was pretty easy for me because I had this hands-on experience in Python and SQL and things like that. It's basically a combination of both only, you can say. So what I did is I just called up Scaler. I told them that I was asked to do things in PySpark. It would be nice if you are including those things in your curriculum, and they implemented that. The new curriculum has PySpark in it in 2 weeks. So I just really wanted to say that that is the kind of feedback that I get. So fixing a place is the major thing. Like I think we both agree to that, right? Yeah.
Now Divyanshu, you raised a point for keep ourselves up to date with the new tech stack technologies are coming. And nowadays we all know the thing which is really viral in the market, that is ChatGPT, GPT-4. When it came into the market, again, people started talking about the AI killing our jobs, it will take over the world, everything, right? How it is going to put an impact on different sectors, you can say, or basically on students as well, their preparation, or even working professional. You can also share your thoughts about whether it is going to kill our jobs or not.
Yeah, so I don't think like ChatGPT just started. When I was in my 8th, I saw that we had some scanner taking an app on our phone. We have to scan a mathematical problem and it will give us a solution. For trigonometries, we used to do that. So it is a kind of just evolution of those kind of things. It already started. We never thought of like it will evolve so much that even if we just put whatever we want, it will throw us some output. It's just like a chatbot, right? What we are thinking, we have to feed the data, what we are thinking in that chatbot, and it will respond to us. So it is like just like a two-way conversation with an AI. but I don't think it is going to kill the jobs for many of the people. Yes, it will kill the jobs for some of the people, but those are the jobs which I think never required so much of intelligence. If a machine is if a machine is able to do something, I don't think it is more intelligent than a human brain, right? We had a data of like, since we born, 25 years if I have of experience of my life, right? That's much more important. In ChatGPT, I don't see that they have a 25 years of data in the databases, right? So it's never going to kill the job. Yes, it will going to create a job, not going to kill, but yes, it will create. How it will create is, now you will need to understand new things. How can you create something out of it? If you write a code, probably it will not be an optimized code. You would write a 15 lines of code and it could be done in 1 or 2 lines, right? You can feed those 15 lines and get it optimized using that ChatGPT.
Basically, it will increase our productivity.
Yes, it will increase our productivity. It will increase the efficiency of any individual. So all these coming new things are really very good if you understand them in a good way. There are 2 sides, but you have to be with the good one to grow.
What do you think about it?
ChatGPT is not going to take away our jobs, but the people who know how to use ChatGPT is going to take away our jobs. I would say like that, because ChatGPT is going to be like 50%. It's going to make our lives very easy. 50% hard work, 50% ChatGPT work, or like smart work. You can say smart work. And people who are succeeding in life are doing the smart work. I could see that. So they are not going to, ChatGPT is not going to kill any jobs, but then the people who use is going to take away a lot of jobs. So that is one part. And the other part is, you have to start integrating new technologies in your life, be it ChatGPT, be it any software, hardware or something like that. That transition has been there in our life, to be very honest. When the internet revolution came, people were revolting against it. And now what is happening? A lot of jobs have gone, but then a lot of new jobs have also been created. So this is just like said, a VCR to a iPod. So those kind of transition is going to happen. Hardware, software, anything. AI is also like that. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt and be open to new kind of technologies. I was not like that. For 6 years, I was completely into reading books, newspapers and government sector. So I was completely lost. So starting from using a laptop was new to me. So I had to take it with a pinch of salt. So starting from that to reaching how to use a ChatGPT is like me being open to taking all the new kind of revolutions or technological advancements that are happening. So you have to take it. You have to receive it with open arms. Embrace it and just work with it.
ChatGPT is going to help us to speed up that process, because you go through multiple links on Stack Overflow or the Google and then figure out a final solution for you. Now you just ask the same thing to ChatGPT and it is there within a second. So maybe soon we'll see ChatGPT as a mandatory skill set in our job. Maybe I'll ask a final question, and that to again help the audience, because you both had a different background and might be different interview processes as well based on your past. So maybe in few lines, if you can summarize your individual interview experiences with respect to the data science job profile in product-based company Merck and in product-based company MPL.
So for me, like I had 3 rounds of interview. I never had an HR interview, by the way. So all 3 were technical. One started, and all these 3, they just check the problem solving skill. They check like how analytical I am, how I'm seeing the problem, how I'm solving it. So in one of the interview round, they even asked me like, if you are living in Maharashtra, take 1 problem, take 2 problems and solve them now. Despite like you will have everything that you need, or you have all the resources, but you need to give me an optimized solution. Now, interview in that area, you expect like interview will ask you something to write a code or do something, but now things are changing. They are asking you to build a problem and solve it right now. So this was a new thing to me. And yeah, like first round I had few analytical questions, then again I have this problem creating by my own and solving it, and then on the last round where it was like a stakeholder something, there also like we had what do you think about new technologies coming in, and how
ChatGPT question.
Not specifically for ChatGPT, but yeah, like how we see how creative we are, basically. That's what they judged.
Okay. And what about you, Kiran?
For me, like with all sort of failures, I was very, very skeptical about giving interviews per se. So I tried to avoid giving interviews for around 1 month. to be very honest, because I was not mentally prepared. So so the major thing was I was continuously giving mock interviews with Scalar. So just to get me onboarded with the interview part, because even if it was a first round rejection, it would have affected me personally, to be very honest. So I was like continuously asking Scalar to prepare me for with mock interviews for my first interview whenever it comes. So I gave around 9 to 10 mock interviews. For most of the mock interviews, even though I knew the answer, I was unable to code it up. I was unable to say a single word. So initial 4-5 mock interviews, I was completely blank. For 45 minutes, I used to look at the interviewer and look at him, and I was like continuously lost. So he used to tell me what happened. So I cannot go on explaining my thing to everybody, right? So I was like, I don't know the answer. So I would cut the call, then come back and just look at the paper, and I'm like, okay, this I knew, right? I was not able to do it. So after fourth mock interview, then afterwards it became bit more easy, and the last mock interview was very good. So I thought, okay, now I think I'm prepared for giving a proper interview. So I called up Scalar and told them that if there is a next opportunity, pitch me in. I am willing to give a proper interview. And then and there, my first interview in my life with MPL, first round, second round, third round, all technical rounds, cracked it. So cherry on top.
Nice. So now in MPL, like, did you feel that kind of hesitation while giving interviews?
Like, one victory is all it takes to forget all your things. Like, you start believing in yourself. It is like, okay, 1.2 years of continuous dedication and some preparation, and I was shameless with Scalar, to be very honest. I was literally shameless. Like, so you have to build that habit of being shameless, to ask people for help and cry out loud, like what he said. We start crying out to get food, right? Yeah, so that is the problem solving method that I think I employed.
Practically implemented.
At 28, I employed that practical application, and I got the job. So whatever happens in the job is like another picture, because that is also going to be difficult only. But then getting into this industry was the major thing that I wanted, and I achieved that. So staying in this industry is a different ballgame. So that I'm yet to figure it out. Maybe Divyanshu can help me out there a bit. Sure. Also Shashank. Sure. Thank you so much, Shashank. It's just my pleasure to share my experience.
So this is great, Divyanshu, Kiran. It was really wonderful. I would say both belong to different experiences, and even our audience will get a really good perspective that how they can basically start their journey from nothing to something. And if someone from the non-tech background, take inspiration from Kiran. If you are a fresher stuck in service-based company, take inspiration from Divyanshu. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us today in this podcast and sharing your wonderful experiences. And audience, if you have any question, if you want to ask these two guys, then I have provided the form link in the description. You can fill out those queries, and these guys will directly answer those questions. So that's what I had for this amazing podcast. So again, thank you so much from my side and from the entire audience side, Kiran and Divyanshu, for spending time with us and sharing your wonderful experience.
If you find it informative and you are pretty much clear about your path to become a data scientist, then let me know in the comment section. Also, do like this video in the big numbers so that we can also help other members in the data community. And if you are new to the channel, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon. So I will see you guys next week with another amazing podcast. Till then, just keep exploring data.